Hello Redeemer families, my name is Matt Waller. I'm the Executive Director at the Attic Foster Network. Right now there are 275 Permian Basin kids that are in foster care and 103 that are waiting for adoption. Sad thing is that 90% of those kids are not in their hometown, and 60% of those kids are 200 miles or more away from home. When they're further away from home, that's when they get lost in the overburdened system. We need believers to step up and help these children and struggling families come back together. Starting this summer, Redeemer will begin to recruit families to get licensed to foster through HighSky. While not everyone is called to foster or adopt, we are all mandated by James 1:27 to do something. You can come around those families that decided to foster or adopt by helping with household chores, getting verified and trained to babysit for them, or helping with carpooling. Listen to these stories of Redeemer families that are helping out right now.
My name's Ryan Vella, and this is my wife, Beth. And we have 4 kids. We have 2 biological boys, Owen and Everett, and 2 adopted daughters, Claire and Aaliyah. After we had our boys, we started looking into adoption options. We always felt like we had some level of desire to adopt, and at that point we saw foster care just kind of getting shoved in front of us and over again, and it wasn't something that we, especially me, had any initial desire to do. I mean, it certainly looked difficult and hard, and all the things that accompany foster care with same questions. Kids go home, and what does that look like for your biological kids? And so I didn't necessarily go into the idea of adoption with a kind of gospel-centeredness.
When he started putting foster care, I think we both just pumped the brakes of nope, that seems really hard, and that seems really messy, and that's not what we wanted for our lives. And he just kept pursuing us in it, and we did just keep seeing it pop up, and he just began to shift our thoughts on, the purpose of adoption, and was it to fulfill our desires, or was it to serve his kingdom? And being in obedience to that, the Lord was near, and all the fears that we had about the things that could happen, he provided. And I think back to that safe life that I wanted, and that picture perfect life, and I think, man, I would have missed seeing him in that. I would have missed seeing the nearness of him to our daughters, and seeing the way that he changed us as people. Our daughters, certainly, we're so thankful that they're in our family and that we can play a part in the rewriting of their story, but really our story has been rewritten. And the work that the Lord has done in our hearts in, using something that we were so reluctant to be a part of, truly, it made all of the difference for us. And it wasn't pretty and perfect and cookie cutter, but it was him, and he met us in those places. And we had people ask us, are you really going to do this to the boys? I think we just had to come to a point where we trusted that God sees us as a family, and if God is calling us to it, he's not just calling us to it, he's calling our entire family to it. And so if he's going to lead us through it, then he's going to lead the boys through it too. And their struggles were different than our struggles, but the Lord has been near to them in that, and I would hate to hold them back from seeing the Lord work in their lives because we were too scared to let them experience it. And so in our experience, if you feel like the Lord is putting foster care on your heart and you're scared, because that's totally normal to be scared. It's a scary thing, and it's a big step, but if the Lord is calling you to it, then he is going to go before you, and he's going to provide, and you're going to be able to see him do that firsthand.
So I'm Michael Preble, and this is my wife, Caitlin Preble. And so we've been fostering to adopt since September of last year was when we first got our license, so September 2020. We've had 3 babies so far in our care. We had one day old. She was with us for
2 months.
For 2 months, and then we had an 11-month-old, and she was with us for 10 days. And then we had our current placement, who's a rowdy 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old. We got into it, my parents both fostered, and they've been doing that since 2013. So I think with them doing their foster stuff, it really just kind of pulled on my heart. It really was something that was important to me, and we were going through marriage counseling, and we were talking, and it had always been the plan to have bio kids first, and then foster to adopt. But in January 2020, I think that, I don't know why, I just felt a hard tug, and I think that God was really speaking to us to start the process earlier.
So I kind of looked into it a little bit more, and we were just like, well, let's just go to an informational meeting, just see what it's about. And then from there, we just never stopped. We just kept going, and then we were certified before we knew it.
Yeah, it's been a blessing for our marriage. I think that we really had to rely on each other and just kind of lean into each other, and just lean into God and just trust in His sovereignty, that His plans are better than ours, and that we don't understand it, but that He's still a good God. Just surrendering to the fact that it's about the child, it's about the kids. Really, and they didn't ask to be in this situation. This situation was thrust upon them, and the best that we can do is just provide a safe and loving home for them, and just pray over them constantly. And God has revealed to us time and time again that we do. I mean, we have the capacity for love that we didn't know that I didn't know that I had. I don't think that we knew that we had as a couple. And I just remember praying that God would use us for His kingdom, for His will. And I just believe that this is the way that God's using us. I believe that this is where God has called us into. But I think too that I just want to reiterate how much Redeemer has meant to us, how much people have shown up for us. The people that have gone through this before us have meant just to lean into them. And so I would encourage anybody that's going through this to make sure that you leverage that experience, but also just leverage and let people love you, and let people love you well, and let people do what God is calling them to do, and that's to provide for you, just like you're being called to provide for these kids.
Thank you, Redeemer.
I'd also say that some of the most meaningful moments have been right whenever we get a placement and people just show up. And so I know that we got our first placement, and Randa just came over with a box of clothes. And then whenever we got our current placement, the valets came with their whole crew at 9 o'clock at night, and everybody was just playing, and it was so much fun. And it put us at ease to know that we're so covered and we're so loved. But I think it helped him be more at ease too, to know that this is safe. This is a safe place for you. We're all caring for you. We're all loving you. This is all just a good thing.
Hi, I'm Christine Kekich. I have some friends at Redeemer who recently had a foster baby placed with them, and they have 2 biological children of their own already. So when I went to babysit for them one evening, I expected that I would be watching all 3 of the kids, but turns out you have to be trained to watch foster kids. So I wasn't able to watch their foster baby that night, but there's a certification program that agencies in town provide so that you can get certified. So that if you want to take the kids to the park for an hour and play basketball with them, you can do that. Or if you're hanging out at the house and mom and dad need to step out, go take a breather, hang out at Starbucks for a bit, you can stay home with the kids. So becoming certified to babysit these foster kids is just a way that we get to be community for one another, because God didn't mean for any of us to have to do this stuff alone. So we get to play a part in these kids' lives, and we also get to be family to our brothers and sisters who've opened up their homes for these kids during this season.
We know not all of us can foster or adopt, but every single one of us has a part to play in serving these kids and families. A great avenue for Redeemer to support them is by providing meals and other crucial resources. Child placements can happen at a moment's notice, and meals lift a heavy burden as they focus on loving the children placed in their care. And oftentimes they might need diapers, clothes, or furniture. We can help these families know they are seen and loved by their church family by providing these resources.
The foster care crisis is nothing new, but it's hitting our community harder than ever. Redeemer, you have a huge opportunity to change the lives of hurting children in our community, and we at High Sky are so excited to partner with you. In July, we will be hosting Q&A sessions to answer any questions that you may have about the process. And then in September, we have condensed all the trainings you will need into the shortest time frame possible. Now is the time to get involved, to step into that gap and help us heal child abuse and promote family wholeness. And we will be there every step of the way. So mark the dates on your calendar and let's do this together.